Welcome to the Strokecast. A Generation X stroke survivor explores rehab, recovery, the frontiers of neuroscience, and how to peel a banana with one hand.
Hello, I'm Bill Monroe, and welcome to episode 28 of the Strokecast. This week, we get to meet the folks from the slow road to better. When I had my stroke last summer, I was already a podcaster. I've been hosting a public speaking podcast since December of 2016. So naturally, once I got out of the hospital and really needed to dive deeper into this new world of stroke recovery, the first thing I looked for was other podcasts about stroke. And there really weren't that many. There were even fewer that were actually hosted by stroke survivors. I found the Enable Me podcast out of Australia and found that to be a really interesting show. Later on, I would find the Hand in Hand show by the Stroke Focus Network, which I appeared on a few weeks ago. And I found the Slow Road to Better. Now, the Slow Road to Better is a show put on by stroke and TBI survivors at the Stroke Comeback Center in Vienna, Virginia. And they now have a facility in Rockville, Maryland as well, I believe. It is hosted by Melissa Richmond, a speech therapist who works with folks and helps them rediscover their language. Because folks on the show are all dealing with aphasia. And hosting a podcast is really quite a challenge for folks with aphasia because aphasia is all about language processing challenges and working through those challenges. And for many folks, that manifests as difficulty with speaking. And once you get into an audio medium like podcasting, that becomes a really big deal. But I really enjoy listening to this show. The folks on it are working hard. They're entertaining, and they are just really working to connect with each other and with other stroke survivors that are out there, that are all on this slow road to getting better. When I first had my stroke and was recovering from it, listening to them and listening to their stories was, it's really empowering to hear other people who are going through this and who are working through these challenges. So I definitely recommend adding the Slow Road to Better to the list of podcasts you subscribe to. This week, I got to talk with Kim, Chris, Jerry, and Pat, and of course, Melissa, and ask them questions about their experience with aphasia and their experience with their own show. For those of you who want to start off by learning more about aphasia, you can go back a few weeks ago to the show I did with Reva Zimmerman, where we talked extensively about the nature of aphasia and other speech challenges. If you'd like to learn more about how we actually produced this episode, go ahead and check out the show notes over at strokecast.com/slowroad, where I'll talk a little bit about the recording process and the double ender that we did. So, let's go ahead and meet Kim, Chris, Jerry, Pat, and Melissa. Welcome to the Strokecast, everyone. I am thrilled you're able to join us this week and that we're able to try this new project and this new way of producing content for the show. And to begin with, let's go around the room on your end, and you could each introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about your stroke or TBI and how you came to be a part of the Slow Road to Better.
Okay, I'm Kim, and it's good to be alive. Nice. And PhD, NIH, but retired because of stroke.
How did you become part of the podcast, or why did you become part of the podcast?
Because I listen and retain stuff, and I just do it and see.
Awesome.
So my name is Chris, and I had a TBI 6.5 years ago. Every day is just a struggle, but I can now drive, I can speak, I can almost do almost everything, except fighting fire. And, but that's going to be next on my list. That's it.
Jerry, and I had a stroke 7 years ago.
7? That sounds about right.
I was a UPS driver, and
Why are you part of the podcast?
all around, Chris, you, Pat, Joyce, and Ashley, and Randy do it.
I see you using a hand gesture like a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Are you trying to say that it was sort of the group of you kind of all started together?
Yeah.
And you kind of were in it together, for better or worse?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's almost like a marriage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm Captain Patrick John Haran. I was in the Army. I was actually in Fort Lewis, and it's like an hour from Seattle. In let's see, what is it called? I went to Iraq in the summer of 2006. I was there a year, and one night I got shot in the head, in the left skull. So I got penetrating TBI. I got the day I got hurt was July 7th, 2007. So that was 7707. So I'm done. I'm alive, so there's no reason to do lottery. So I'm very excited. That was 11 years.
Is 7707
Yep.
now a lucky number or an unlucky number?
It's very lucky.
Yeah.
It's so easy. I could have been dead. I mean, I could tell you the whole story, but it's too much too long that I could tell you about. But they put me back together. All these different doctors and PT, OT, speech, different places I went to, and everything's great. And I've been coming here 6 years now. So, but it was hilarious because first person I met was Jerry, and we go next door, and there's this Jerry Pizza. And it's not there anymore, but we just sit there and look at each other and eat, but we couldn't talk. But we've gotten better now. We can talk and stuff.
So sad, but it's encouraging.
And we went to we could go get different places to get good food instead of that pizza place.
I was going to say, that's one of the awesome things about participating in any sort of group like this or a support group elsewhere in the community, is that when you start talking with other stroke survivors or just start meeting with other stroke survivors, you're with people who get it. You don't have to explain what you're going through to other folks. They just understand already, and that makes it so much easier to connect.
Yep.
Yep.
And my name is Melissa. I am a speech therapist. And I've been at the center since 2006. And the reason I do the podcast is because the members wanted to do a podcast. So I've learned a lot, and today is definitely going to be a learning experience. But I am motivated by the group and what we can all achieve together. So that's why we do it, and that's what keeps me doing it.
From my end, I had my stroke on June 3rd, 2017. I woke up went to bed feeling fine, woke up the next morning, and my arm and leg didn't work anymore.
Oh.
Not a pleasant way to wake up, but spent the next month in the hospital learning how to walk again and how to sort of get around. And today I still don't have practical use of my left hand yet.
Yeah.
But the word yet has become one of my favorite words. It's about looking at where I am today and making plans to do things differently tomorrow.
Yep.
And so all of my results were physical deficits. So I did not have to deal with some of the challenges related to aphasia. So I guess what I would like to understand is, how does your experience with aphasia impact your day-to-day life?
I'm content. Garrett is my husband, and it's beautiful. I'm retired, but whatever. I'm good, and I'm content.
I'm not. This is Chris. And I honestly want to be 100% better. Now, I know that's not
Yeah.
a real thing, but 99% or whatever it is. I only spoke yes, no, and 4 or 5 curse words for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So you had the important one.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
And so I've progressed so much, but I'm not taking 60%. I'm not doing that. I'm 100% is what I think I'm capable. Yeah, obviously that's not yet.
Loss of friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You think that's the biggest impact of your aphasia?
Yeah.
Is losing your friends?
But you can reach out.
I've lost friends too, but a lot of friends, they leave.
Yeah.
It's their fault, you know? So that's not very, I don't know if sexy's the word, but I don't know why people are like that, but I try to be nice with other friends I had before that had problems, you know? They're still my friends back then. But yeah.
So sad.
It's life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. You know, I think one of the things we sometimes see is other people can look at us or listen to us, and if they choose to leave, like you said, it's on them. Because part of our challenge is that we scare them. We remind other people that, hey, your life is fragile. Your abilities are fragile, and they could be taken away at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
And I think our presence in their lives sometimes makes them confront their own mortality in a way many folks are not ready to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is Pat again. I see the thing with me is with the TBI is I had to like write stuff down. So for me, like I said, it's been 11 years. I got hurt. So by now it has gotten frustrated for me. I was never, ever, ever going to be as good as I am, but the two things that are very frustrating for me is I cannot read very good, and I can't. Great. Now let me see if I can remember the other word. Write. Write and read.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like inside back in the day. I was like one of those nerds, and I loved reading, but I can't do that very good anymore. But when I go see some friends or we're at like a restaurant or something, and people where I live around here, people just talk so fast.
Yeah.
And it's like you're about to talk, and it's like, well, and then like three other people talk at the same time, and so by the time I'm done, I've eaten like 3 different dinners things because I'm just sitting there and I don't really have the chance to like talk, and to me it's got frustrated. But then I have to like start. All right, I got to be like, okay, well then let's go home, and then I can start practicing reading again or something, you know. So yeah, it gets frustrating, but I can't. Then when I get up in the morning, I can't get mad because I never thought I was going to be this good for me personally.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say. Probably everybody is like that too. You don't think you're going to get that good, but over time, if you keep going, then you keep going and you get better and better. So yeah.
Absolutely. It takes a while, but like you said, every week it's a slow road, but it is a road.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I mean, the 5 doctors say 2 said dead, 2 sit in a bed all my life, 1's in a wheelchair. Moving, talking, driving a car, boating. I mean, plenty of things that they are not saying that I will do. And I don't want to, but I'm a miracle, kinda.
Yeah. And you, and you, and you.
And me.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah. Sorry.
You have to be a miracle too.
Oh. And you.
Yeah. And you also, because you're here. And thank you.
Every day is a miracle, isn't it? Every day
Yes,
I'm grateful
yes.
when I wake up.
Yep.
So what is one thing that you most want people without aphasia to know about aphasia?
Oh my God. I have to. Oh my God. I have to listening. And I have to do that. Sorry. One more time. It's listening. No. Sorry. The listening. I can't.
Are you
Yes.
Are you trying to say that you want other people to listen?
No.
Okay.
Maybe I would go to the store and some groceries, but I have to count the money, and I have to the other cashier take it, and it yeah.
All right, so do you feel like you're getting pressured?
Yes.
All right, so maybe instead of listening,
Sorry. Sorry.
you want people to be more patient.
Yes. Oh yeah. Thank you.
Good luck. Did I tell you that I always use a hard limiter because we have some loud people in the
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm going to leave that all to you to sort out because I
Sorry.
bet you do a better job than I do anyway.
I am going to learn so much about editing this.
Sorry.
I can tell you, I might be able to help you here and there because I've learned a lot about editing. I can't get rid of extraneous noise, but I'm pretty good at eliminating the F-bomb here and there.
Whatever.
So I honestly think if someone doesn't listen to me or doesn't want to listen, I understand. You know, that is their problem. It's not mine. And I think I can talk slow, obviously, but I can get words correct sometimes. And a complicated stuff, try to talk and communicate well, maybe not well, but...
Is that what you wish people really knew about aphasia? Is it that if they give you enough time, you'll be able to get out your idea?
Probably not. So it is up there in my brain that is every sentence, every word, but I can't get my words out. And it's frustrating, obviously.
Yeah. Either of you guys have a thought on that?
Mind works.
Your mind works.
Yeah.
Spitting out the words?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. No.
This is Pat again here.
Hey,
We found our DJ in the group. That's all I have to say. This dynamic is all very enlightening.
For this one, I think I've got it. I don't. Let me see. I can say this. I want them to care, because if I have, also I want them to know the truth. So, like when I got hurt and I was in the hospital, I had. You can only go when I was in the hospital. Like only 2 people could come in the room at a time. So, but there were still like 20 other people in another room sitting, waiting to come see me. So that was for like a month and a half or something. And then I came back, a year later because I had to do something else with my skull. So all these people came to come see me. And then like time and time, there's just like nobody around anymore. And I've gotten better with, like I said, with like speech, reading, writing, all this stuff. But it's just kind of like, we've been friends. We went to college, went to high school. Because I grew up in this area. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like, why with aphasia, why can't we just go hang out? And so I don't know if they're really getting the whole picture. Does that make sense? The whole picture.
I think that does make sense.
Did I think that I'm still like in college and I'm like drunk back in the days? But no, I can't talk because my brain is different than it was before. So yeah, sometimes it's very frustrating for me personally, but I know other friends that are good I can talk with. So
interesting. One of the things that I hear you saying is that I hear from a few of you is that, it's all there and all the thoughts are there and all of the information is there in your head. And the challenge is just attaching the right words to those thoughts and then expressing those words. And people don't often understand that.
Maybe here around this area in general, but I think people are just kind of in a hurry in general. I think
Right.
where Chris is and he's on his boat and he's out, you just kind of go and you're out there relaxing, have a good time. You know, when I go with my wife and I, we go to watch the baseball, and it's like we go and just sit there and relax, and you know that's okay. But in general, just usual stuff. It's just like kind of big deal. Definitely living around where we live around DC area. So
DC is not known for its laid back attitude.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's a lot of value in just being able to sit down and just be in the moment and accept that and not have to say anything. And a lot of people get really uncomfortable with that. They don't know how to be with themselves. One of the things that I find very interesting as I do interviews with other people, and this might impact the way some folks are when they are listening to you, is that people are generally very uncomfortable with silence. And I use that as a technique when I am doing an interview where folks may answer a question and they'll stop talking and I will just not say anything right away.
Awesome.
And after 2 or 3 seconds, they're so uncomfortable, they start talking again, and you get some really interesting things out of them when that happens.
Nice.
That's also a good speech therapy technique.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. I don't need practice talking.
Well, that's true.
Me.
And now everybody's going to be looking for that from their speech therapist.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what has been the most rewarding thing about doing the Slow Road to Better?
Honestly, I've tried to better me and the group and the listeners around the world. I think that is what we challenge ourselves to come up with new topics, new ideas, and hopefully I can reach just one listener.
I think one of the things that I get out of this is I feel like we all learned something together. So that it was not me being a therapist and the group being members of the group. I think we're sort of all equals in here and we're all learning as we go. And so I think that's one of the most satisfying things is actually having a product of any variety.
Yeah.
Where I feel it's honest and it's authentic. The editing we do really never has anything to do with the content. I think what people put out is very sincere and genuine. And I think that is what I find just really motivating and I don't know. I'm proud of what we've accomplished as a group, because it hasn't always been easy for anyone, really.
No.
Jerry or Pat, you want to throw something in there?
Yes, I could say something because I practiced. For me, it's better. It's getting better and better coming here, practicing talking, and I understand what Chris said also is so cool because more people listen. Even like he said, one person, and then you have one person. I have a friend who's this guy. He's like 75 years old. He retired, and he was in Vietnam for like he wanted to be a Marine for his whole life, but he got hurt in Vietnam. Became friends when Walter Reed, because he built buildings and stuff. And he calls me after a new
Podcast?
podcast. He'll call me, he'll text message me, then he'll put something for Melissa on there. I mean,
nice.
he just he loves it. And so what he always does is he tells everybody else that's out there, because that's the way he is. Because one thing about him is he just knows who everybody is. And so he's just a great guy. And so I know he's getting people out there to listen to it too, so.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Well, that is awesome. A lot of it sounds like it's, what I think is really interesting, and you made me think about, was when you talk about the practice you're doing here and having to come up with, and I'm hearing having to come up with the plans and having to produce something and having an impact on folks. One of the things from a very practical aspect is compared to a lot of things we do in therapy, whether that is, do 30 heel lifts or do whatever exercise there is in speech therapy at the end of a session, that's done. Whereas when you record an episode of this, at the end of a session, there is something folks can actually go back to and look at again. You leave the day saying, yes, we made this. And that's really cool.
I paint, and it's beautiful, but I can't say. Okay, one more time. Painting is my joy, but I did that because of, okay, one more time. Art is beautiful to me, and it's creating this podcast also be beautiful also. Yeah.
I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
That it's an outlet
Yes.
for your creativity.
Yes.
And at the end of both your painting and the
Yes.
podcast, you have an actual product.
Thing.
You have
Yeah.
a something.
Yeah.
Right. I got you.
Thank you. Whew.
Yep. That is really cool. It's one of those things I think people just generally want to be heard in some way, whether that's with a voice or producing a visual product, producing art, having an impact on the world.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Well, and I think people with aphasia want to contribute, just like
Yeah.
they did before their stroke.
Yes.
So they want to give back and they want to contribute in a meaningful way to society.
Yes.
So being able to help other survivors who maybe just had their stroke or just a year out from their stroke and they're feeling like I've been doing this for a year, but that often people get to that year point and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm not all better. I can't
Yeah.
believe I'm still doing this. And I think that's one of the benefits of this podcast is all of these survivors are well into that road of recovery, and they can say, I'm still getting better. And if I'm still getting better, you can still get better too. So it really is a meaningful way to contribute to society.
Yep.
It's awesome.
And for our hack of the week, let's explore some tips on living with aphasia. So, what is one tip that you would offer to other folks who are dealing with aphasia?
Stroke Comeback Center is right now, and it's going on, and it's beautiful.
So do I hear you saying find a peer group? Find other survivors?
Yes.
There's not one of these centers everywhere.
Yeah, I understand that.
But there are other centers.
Because a tip of everybody should move to Vienna, Virginia, that is certainly one viable option.
or Rockville. Just saying.
Phil, that's right.
Awesome.
You should see Pat. He is like vehemently shaking his head no. You know, his biggest complaint is there's already too many people around.
So sad.
It wasn't like that when I grew up here.
But hospitals also stroke, and you can go there and help.
Find a support group.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have a question. Well,
Okay.
Wait a minute, we have another tip, and then I think Chris has a question. Go ahead, Pat. What's your tip?
For me personally, I think a lot of these people in this room, is you can't quit if you had a stroke or a TBI. And if you're trying to do this one thing, it's not working, but you keep trying, you got to stop. That's what I believe, because I've been doing this for years. You stop and you go do something else. Because for me personally, there's more stuff I need to practice, reading, get on the bike or something, So there's always something else to do for somebody like us, I believe. And there is always something else to...
What are you trying to say? Jerry's trying to help you.
Else.
Oh, there's always something else?
Else you could practice on your speech.
Right.
So that's what I believe. For me too, that's big for me, but I think there's a lot of people that had strokes or a TBI. So.
Okay, great. So I think this has been fantastic. Before we finally wrap up here, is there anything else that you would like the listeners of Strokecast to know?
Well, I have a really...
And that siren is about perfect timing for that question.
I know.
Exactly.
Oh, so sad.
Does that mean I shouldn't say anything?
No.
This is one thing I would like to let you know. I lived in Fort Lewis 2 different times, and so I was living there for more than 6 years. And Fort Lewis is only an hour from Seattle.
Right. Until everybody moved here from California, and now it's like 2 hours.
No. If you ever get the chance, go to Seattle. So that's what it's a good thing for all you people who ever get there. It's a great place to go. But then only go in the summer. So
that's right. And our summers are much more pleasant than the summers in the DC metro area.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all agree with that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Awesome.
say thank you, too, for reaching out. For your listeners, I guess what I would like them to know is that we would love any questions or comments. That's one thing we don't get a lot of. And I'll say, especially good comments, but we'll take constructive criticism as well.
Maybe not.
But that you can find us on Facebook at Stroke Comeback Center. And that's a way to reach out to us. But I really want to say thank you to you for giving us this opportunity. If anything, I encourage the concept of, say yes. So when you reached out and said, you guys want to do this, I was glad that the group said, yeah, we want to try it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is amazing technology that both of you have. So
I think
thank
Bill.
you.
I think Bill has the much harder job.
Well, I understand that, but yeah. But thank you.
Awesome. Well, you're very welcome. I appreciate that, and I thank you so much for your time today. This has been absolutely fantastic, and I am really looking forward to the response that folks get from that we get from this episode. I will link to the Stroke Comeback Center's Facebook page from over at the show notes here, which will appear at strokecast.com/slowroad.
Great. We will do that.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
I had a great time with this conversation and learned a lot about everything from production and editing to the experiences of folks with aphasia. So what do you think about this episode? Go ahead and share your thoughts over at strokecast.com/slowroad. Then head on over to the Facebook page for the Stroke Comeback Center and say hi to the team. If you are a survivor or a caregiver, I'd strongly encourage you to find a support group in real life or online or both if you haven't already done so, because it can make a huge difference in your life and in your recovery. Next time you encounter someone with aphasia, be patient. They are smart folks who simply lost fast access to some of their language. Be sure to subscribe to The Slow Road to Better in your favorite podcatcher. And, of course, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to Strokecast in your favorite podcast application as well. And, of course, as always, don't get best, get better. Thanks a lot. I'm Bill Monroe, and I'll talk to you next week.
The Strokecast, Bill Monroe, and Bill's guests provide general information and entertainment, not medical advice. Please do not make any changes to your treatment plan or the execution of your treatment plan without first consulting your personal doctor or medical team. The Strokecast is a proud production of the Currently Speaking Podcast Network.